in reference to Veterans Day, I believe it's of extreme importance. Being a former history teacher, I'm well aware of the cost of freedom, the various wars that our citizens, military personnel have fought in over the course of history. And it's of extreme importance that our students become aware of the circumstances in which individuals have fought and gave their lives in the cause of freedom and democracy. So on this Veterans Day, I hope that you will pay attention to the upcoming video, which is going to be shown, and have a good day, Springfield.
Good morning, Springfield. A couple weeks ago, Vito and I got to sit down and interview a local Navy veteran, Charlie Bura.
It was a really neat experience. He had some very interesting stories, so here's the interview. This is Vito Argenziano, and I'm here with one of our local veterans, Charlie. Charlie, thank you very much for coming in. We're going to interview you on a couple of questions about Veterans Day. First up,
very good.
What branch were you in?
I was in the United States Navy.
Navy.
Mm-hmm.
And why did you decide to join the military?
Well, at that time, this was 1961, 61, work was kind of slow. I kind of always, my dad was in the Navy in World War II. I kind of wanted to follow in his footsteps, so that's one of the reasons I joined the Navy.
And describe the training you went through to become in the Navy.
Well, basic training for the Navy was up at Great Lakes Naval Training Center. And it was, I don't know exactly how many weeks, but it was, I happened to be up there over the winter, and up at Great Lakes in the winter, it is cold. We did drills, physical fitness. We had firefighting classes. We had rifle range. We did a lot of physical fitness for the most part, and marching.
A lot of marching?
A lot of marching.
Now, describe your experience. Like, where did you travel while you were in the Navy?
Well, while I was in the Navy, I went to electronics school up at Great Lakes, which was a 38-week electronic course. And after graduation from that school, I went to Rhode Island to Quonset Point, which at that time was a Naval Air Station, which right now is a airport. But at that time, 2 aircraft carriers were home ported there, and that means that's where when they were done at sea, they would go to Quonset and reprovision, repair what had to be done. And I went there and reported, and shortly after I reported, the ship pulled out, and we went up into the North Atlantic, and the whole idea of those 2 carriers were to track Russian submarine. This was the Cold War, like I say, between after Korea and before Vietnam really got hot. And we would look for Russian submarines, like with sonar and radar and all kind of fancy electronic equipment. And we went up to, like I say, the North Atlantic. And then we went, then we went south. We went into the Caribbean. We were in 2 hurricanes, as a matter of fact, and it was pretty rough. A couple of these pictures are one of the ships that went with us in a hurricane. And after the second hurricane, we went into Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and gave the citizens of Haiti aid of like food, water, all kind of stuff. And we were there for, I don't know, a couple weeks to help the people of Haiti out, similar to what the military's
Yeah.
doing in the States now. Then we pulled out of Haiti. We went to Guantanamo Bay. In Guantanamo Bay, that was basically after the initial part of the Cuban Missile Crisis, but we were still tracking ships coming and going into Cuba, and that's where the planes on the ship I was on. After that, we went back to Boston or Quonset Point, and then we went to Boston for a while, and then we went over into the Mediterranean to. We stopped in Barcelona and Gibraltar, and we were still tracking as we were going over there. We were still tracking other Russian submarines or whatever Russian planes occasionally would fly over. And then on the way home, well, we got in 2 collisions too while I was in. We ran in. A carrier like the ship I was on would refuel the smaller ships that were with us, and one of the smaller ships lost it. Now when I say smaller ships, the ship I was on was 900 feet long. The smaller ships were about 250, 300 feet long, and we would refuel them because they couldn't hold as much fuel as we could. We carried a lot of fuel. And one of the ships, they would come alongside, one of the ships lost its steering, ran into our ship, busted the whole top off. Fortunately, no one was killed.
Yeah.
And then the other collision, we were going up Chesapeake Bay to pick up the midshipmen, to take the midshipmen on a cruise for the summer. And we ran into, or well, I'm not going to say we ran into it, but we got in a collision with a tanker, and that ended up putting us in the shipyard for quite a while to get repairs done. So, and then here's some pictures of the ship.
Looks pretty big.
Yeah, it's about 800. The ship was about 898 feet long, carried helicopters and we still had prop planes. We were kind of the last of the World War II. The carrier was built during World War II, and while I was in the service, I told you how long active duty was, right? No,
Sure.
I don't know. It was 4.5 years active duty. And during that 4.5 years when we weren't doing tracking ships, we picked up Gemini. We were the prime recovery ship for Gemini 2, Gemini 5, Gemini 6, and Gemini 7. And we were the prime recovery ship, so I got to see those capsules coming down right by the ship, which was kind of neat. This was the first manned spacecraft that the U.S. sent up that had, that made trips around the Earth. And then this is some of the pictures of the spacecraft being put aboard the ship.
It's pretty neat.
And one tradition in the Navy, if something really good happened, they would always have cake. And this is a picture of the cake.
Nice.
And then we went into New York City one time on a ship.
What was the name of the ship you were on?
I was on the USS Lake Champlain for a couple of years, and the USS Wasp, which was the same kind of carrier. And the Wasp, we picked up Gemini 6 and 7. And then I got out and was in the reserves for a while. Well, I was in it was a 7-year obligation. 4 years active. I did get extended for a while. And then the rest of the time, till the 7 years were up, I was in the reserves. While I was in the reserves, I was on the USS Fort Snelling, which was a landing ship dock. And that was down in Little Creek, Virginia. So I got to see a lot. Stuff that I would never experience. And I fortunately I never went to Vietnam. But we did a lot, like a couple of hurricanes, a couple collisions. And other than that, I liked my time that I was in. That's pretty much the extent of it.
Yeah.
So today is a day about celebrating your service to our country. What does Veterans Day mean to you?
I think it is a day to honor all veterans. We have a lot of veterans. A lot of World War II veterans are no longer with us. One thing I do is I help put flags on veterans' graves for Veterans Day, and there's so many World War II veterans. Well, most of the World War II veterans are gone because they're the ones that are living are in their 90s usually. Korean War, see a lot of Korean War veterans, and now this year and last year starting to see more Vietnam era veterans. They're about my age, which is I'm 76, so most of them are getting up there. And it's nice to honor the veterans that way, and it's nice to see the flags at the schools. I think that's always impressive, and I think looking up at the high school, they have a nice little ceremony when they put the flag in at night. They take it down at night, and I just think it's nice to honor the veterans.
Absolutely.
Well, I just want to say thank you very much on behalf of the Springfield broadcast, and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Vito.
Thank you.